All right, guys. Well, here we are. It is Saturday today. I'm about to go on a trip. I'm going to go to Northern California. I will be back tomorrow night, but I want to get a video out of the way. I'm going to try to record my friend Ryan when I'm up there. And the next two videos I'm going to do after this are upper tier videos. I'm going to do a $20 tier and I'm going to do a $10 tier. I'm going to Best Buy before I go on my trip. I'm going to buy a cord for my GoPro. Because I filmed a bunch of shit in Santa Barbara. I did one story video, I did a monologue, but I also did a bunch of videos of places where different stories take place. And I narrate it, but it's not just boring. I'm not like, all right, this is a place and I did stuff here at this place. It was okay stuff. Yeah, I gotta go. It wasn't stuff like that, right? It was actually it kind of, you know what it reminded me of? Remember a long time ago when I was at the $100 million mansion with Sinister? It kind of reminds me of that. I'm I'm making an effort to be funny, which is cool. I mean, if you're going to make an effort to do anything, it's better to be funny than to hurt people. There's still weed lingering in my system right now. I'm still saying shit that doesn't make sense. But anyway, I talked to Sinister today. We're getting together early next week. We got some plans for stuff that we're going to do. I told you guys I'm considering renting an office he has a 5-office complex. I think it would be really cool to rent a space from him. And like I've been saying for a while, one of my biggest problems is time management. I just have horrible time management. Oh, all right, I got to do a video. And I'm like, wait. What if I can Google and teach myself how to play volleyball better? I'm going to do that now. Oh, wow. Babe, check out this serving technique. Fire. What do you think? She's like, yeah, it's pretty bomb. Volleyball's for gay guys. I'm like, oh. I don't want to hear your negative shit. I want to go, I got to do a video. And then before I know it, time has passed me by. I don't know where it goes. And then I'm a bitch. And people get mad and send me hate email. There's pictures of dead pigeons in fucking Indian headdresses. And they're like, this is how I think of you. This is what it looks like. I hope you die. Ow. Oof. So, next two videos are going to be upper tier videos. This is going to be the last one for a couple days for Origins, I think. I'm just feeling this storyline, and so that's why I'm stuck on it, but I've explained this already. I watched the model. I rarely watch my own shit, but I wanted to put it on Instagram because I got somebody now that's running my social media for me, and he thinks that I should be doing little video clips from Patreon and YouTube and just filling my Instagram up with shit like that. So far that I've been off Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, I gotta say I'm way fucking happier. Way, way happier. I've actually been practicing volleyball, yeah. And it's just given me a lot more time to focus on my kid and on content. And I think if I rent a place from Sinister, like I was saying, even if it's not there specifically, because I don't know where I'm gonna move. We're trying to buy a house right now. I'm pretty sure we're going to. I think within the next 3 weeks I'm gonna close a house. Maybe. It just depends. We're looking right now, and I'm working with a real estate person, and I'd like to get a place that wherever I go, I want to rent an office. I want to wake up. I want to brush my teeth, which I never do, but I'm going to start doing that now. Just to try to fit in, And then I'm going to drive to my office, wherever it is, and I'm going to put 6 hours of work in. Okay, I'm going to do a video right when I get there. Boom, monologue out of the way. Okay, here's a video. Okay, here's a second tier video. Boom. Did a couple videos, half the day's over, write for the rest of it. And if I do that 5 days a week and then turn my phone off at night and on the weekends and just focus on my family and work, it'll be better for everybody. You'll get a shitload more content from me because I'm for sure capable of it. I could be doing more and I want to, and it's just getting distracted. It's a time management issue. So this is the best way that I think that I'll be able to do more. If I'm paying to go rent a place. I'm not going to waste it. You know, I'm not going to be like, oh, fuck, I don't feel like it. And then once you go, you're going to a place to actually work and you get shit done. I have a lot of professional writer friends that do that. They have an office, whatever. A lot, like, not novelists, because novelists are generally broke, even though they pretend like they have kit cars and shit. They're like, yeah, it's a Lexus. Why does it sound like that? Oh, it's special edition. They only made like 30 of them. Oh, did you get the shit sounding package? Yeah, it's just so that, you know, that people don't think I'm rich, and then they'll try to, you know, borrow money and shit, and, you know, so that's why. Oh, that makes sense. No, it's usually my screenwriter friends, because that's the difference. People think that novelists make money. Most novelists don't make shit. The guys that I know that are making fucking real money, real living, chilling, are screenwriters. Screenwriters make a shitload, and most of the stuff you write never even comes out. I have friends that are getting $500,000 for a draft. I have a friend that just made $1.5 million on one screenplay, and it didn't even come out. I was like, that sucks. He's like, it's China money. It's China. You know how that goes. So I was like, no, why would I know that? I forgot what I was talking about, but, you know, and like, that's most screenwriters. They're totally fucking weirdos, but whatever. That's what I want to do. I think that ultimately, I don't think I'm ever going to stop doing this, you know, but, I'd like to write some films, get them out. And I never want to stop writing books either. I have a lot of joy in that. And pretty soon I'm going to release June Gloom, one chapter at a time on Patreon, and the Mickey Avalon book. I hope, please be done by the time that Wyland, my second son, is born. But I'm getting close, and I'm having like a really good time with it. I think probably the coolest part about working on a book about Mickey is just the people that I've gotten to meet. And then him and I have become really, really good friends. And he's a great guy. You know, you gotta, I don't know, you know, Dirt Nasty, Mickey Avalon, those are like pretty much characters, you know. It's when you get to know him like on a personal level, it's interesting because he's a little different than like the persona that he performs under. It's like, you know, Slim Shady to Eminem type thing. You know, there's different personas and stuff, and people play different roles. And I guess maybe before him, I didn't realize the extent of that. Like, I didn't realize how much of that was going on in entertainment. And it's been interesting to do that. Who gives a fuck? Tell the story. All right, we're getting into the story. Oh my God. Thank you, Joe. See, I wear these. These are my favorite shoes. They have piece of donkey shit on the bottom of it. All right. Okay, so this is going to be the last origin story for a while. So for a couple days, I got to catch up with the $10 and $20 tiers. And I'm putting my manuscripts on the $100 tiers for June Gloom. Try to do that this weekend, and in the Mickey Avalon book so far, and Anti-Heroes, whatever. I'll put all my writing stuff, and I have some other like private stuff that I just want a very small group of people to see. I'll put it on the $100 tier. All right. So last time that we were talking, when you guys were talking back to me, remember? I had gone down to Orange County with this girl, Stacy. Now, to this day, I'm friends with Stacy. She's cool as fuck. She's married to a guy with herpes. I asked her that. Like, she's like, oh, I'm getting married. I was like, does he have herpes? She's like, of course. I was like, oh. How did that come up? Did you tell him? And she's like, no, he told me. He, like, wanted to wear a bodysuit. And I was like, it's not necessary because I have it too. I was like, oh. Sounds like a great match. Sounds like you're really in love. I'm happy for you, you know? But I'd gone down with her to Orange County because she wanted to go see her sponsor, Allison. Allison is not her real name. And some of these other people involved, it's not their real name. And that gets me so tripped up sometimes when I'm doing stories. So if I slip or whatever and say the wrong name for her or for any of these people, just know that that's what it is. Like, I generally tell you guys when it's a real name or not. Stacy's a real name. Allison is not her real name. But Allison, if you remember, was a huge fixture in AA in Santa Barbara. She was like a recovery, like, queen bee, you know, and she had all these sponsees that worshipped her. And she'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna send you a PayPal invoice for like $140 for the month. Thanks. And I'm not joking. She didn't invoice her sponsees, but she was doing dirtbag shit, borrowing money from all of them. And all of that stuff came to light later, but we'll get into that. So when we get down to this house, that's all I knew of Allison, was that the butt sex thing had gone down. I had been smutted up severely by this woman. You know, she went around talking about how I threatened suicide if I wouldn't date her, and that's not my style. I would never do that. Some John shit. It's like, that's not something I would do. I would never do that. But people started hating me because she had relapsed, and she blamed the relapse on me. But anyway, when we get down there, as I was saying in the last video, I did not know much about Stacy at that point. I knew that Stacy was in recovery. I knew that she lived at the Giving Tree, which is where Allison used to live there, and then when she got her own place, she still sponsored a bunch of girls that were at the Giving Tree. Remember, that was like this like slut factory. There's just like, you just see like boobs just going down some conveyor belt. Like, here, put those on and just suck someone off, random. First eye contact. They're like, oh, oh. It's like that kind of place. So I didn't really know what Stacy's history was. I was too busy getting my dick sucked all the time. Like, don't talk. Just show me how you feel. Thanks. When we get to this house, right from the get-go, okay, the biker guys, that was a dead giveaway. And the fact that they looked like they were on meth, they were all like, oh, hey, man. Oh, do you happen to know any aluminum recycling centers? Because I can't find any in my phone. I was like, no, I'm not from the area. I don't know. Oh, man, because we didn't steal them or nothing like that. We just want money. I was like, yeah, I get it. I don't remember exactly what they were saying to me, but they were saying something to me to that effect. And when we went in the house, we ended up sitting on the couch with them. Allison sitting on this chair. She's mindlessly flipping through channels. These guys were taking apart something on the table. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like a police scanner. And then, see, what did I call him? I know his real name. Danny. Danny's ex-girlfriend was there. Now, you got to remember this. When that was his high school sweetheart. So this is the guy that, oh no, god damn. See, that's where I get messed up with fucking names. Not Danny. We're talking about Sal. Sal is the guy who had the ex-girlfriend that was pregnant. He got in a car accident. He told me about it. And then he killed himself that night. And honestly, that has always been something that really affected me because I feel somewhat responsible for it. I don't know what I could have done differently in that situation. I told him what to do. I said, you should go check yourself into a psych ward. But Sal killed himself, and I was the last person that we know of that he had talked to before he did it. You know, I mean, it's not like I encouraged him to do it, but I feel like I didn't do enough. So when we got to that house, this girl that he had dated, Samantha is what the name I gave her. That's not her real name either. She has a weird name. She has like a dude name. But Samantha recognized me. Now, I knew her in high school. She was high school sweethearts with Sal. And Sal was probably 4 years older than me. So he was a senior when I was a freshman. He was a big weed dealer. And he was just kind of like in the in crowd there. Except he sold weed, you know? He was like one of those people that was like much more about making money than he was about the actual drug itself. So I had met Samantha throughout the years at like various parties, whatever. And she was one of those people that I kind of associated just as Sal's girl. Like, that's it. I was surprised when she recognized me. We'd met each other before, but she knew who I was, and she asked me if I knew about Sal. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I heard what happened. It's really tragic. You know, his fiance or wife, whatever it was pregnant with this kid, flipped the car, she died, and then he shot himself. Right? She's like, no, Sal murdered her, and he tried to cover it up, and everybody knows about it. I'd never heard that. And you got to realize, like, Jeff was probably his best friend or one of them at that point, you know? And so, like, this is something, if it was like a big rumor, it's something that we would have heard. We never heard this before. I never had. Jeff certainly didn't. And he was kind of like Danny. Danny was his best friend. The pro skater guy was his best friend. And then Jeff, it's like, you know, we were a tight little circle. So to get that information dropped on me in that fashion, like right when we got there, was kind of heavy. Because I could tell that they were all like methed out, zombified, right? Like they're all just on their own little trip. The biker guys, Samantha and Allison. Now, Stacy kind of is giving Allison these looks. And I know the look. It's the look of, hey, let's go off somewhere and let's do drugs somewhere where no one else can see. You know that look. Like when you're a drug addict, you pick up on shit like that. I saw that happen. Allison gets up first. She walks down some hallway. And Stacy's like, hey, I'm going to go use the restroom. I was like, oh, yeah. In my mind, I was already like, okay, I don't do meth. I look down on meth. But I don't want to be rude. I'll do some meth if there's any to do. So about 15, 20 minutes goes by. And I like look at one of the bikers and I was like, hey man, do you know where the girls are at? He's like, hey man, I think the one you came was taking a shit or something. It's been a long time, man. That's a hell of a shit, man. That's fucking gross, bro. And he goes back to doing whatever he's doing. So I was like, well, I'm going to go look for him. Oh, you go right ahead. And he's like, you know, whatever he's doing with the screwdriver or whatever. So I go down the hallway and I go, there's like this bedroom and it's like maybe like the door's like cracked open like that. I can smell meth. Now I can smell the smoke. I already fucking knew it. I have that junky spider sense. I know when drugs are around. And I kind of like look through the crack in the door. And I see them both sitting there and they're hitting like a bubbler with a meth pipe attached to it. So it's like a bubbler like that you'd smoke weed out of, but there's like this glass stem and it's connected to a pookie, which is like a glass ball with a hole in it. You put the shards of meth in that hole, you light it until it starts melting, and then if you twist it like that, it makes the smoke, I don't know what it does, but the gravity of it makes you hit once you spin it like that. And I see them smoking meth, and I like pushed the door open. I was like, what the heck is going on here? Stacy looks at me. She's like, oh my God. You weren't supposed to see that, but I've relapsed on crystal meth. I was like, I'm not fucking blind. I see that. You're holding a bubbler with meth in it. Are you going to break up with me? I was like, you're not my girlfriend, but you need to give me some. You do shit too, because that's what meth addicts call crystal meth. They call it shit. Oh, you smoke shit? Right on, bro. I smoke shit too. It's like that weird. This is the toothless community. The bush dwellers. Meth is a fan favorite of the bush dwellers, right? So I sit down on the bed. Allison does not really acknowledge me at this point, right? And that other girl, Samantha, is still in the living room. She's just doing her thing. She's like on her phone or whatever. She had dropped that bomb on me that Danny had killed, or that Sal had killed his girlfriend. And then she just kind of like went on her phone. Probably was playing like Sudoku or something. She's like, I don't care about murder. Who cares? Oh, this one's hard. Fuck. So I start smoking meth with them. Allison doesn't talk to me. It gets kind of weird. And Allison looks at me and she's like, do you still slam? I was like, yeah. Stacy's like, ew. I was like, what? It's just a silly thing that I do. Yeah, I still slam. She's like, do you have a rig on you? I pull one out. I have one in my pocket. Stacy's like, oh my God, what the fuck? She's like, you've been doing drugs? I was like, yeah. That's so fucking dishonest. I was like, you're smoking meth. Shut up. Allison's like, can you give me a shot? And I was like, look, I have hepatitis C. She's like, what? This is Stacy saying this. She's like, you have hepatitis C? That's disgusting. I was like, shut up, you have herpes. And then Allison's like, what? You have herpes? And then it just turns into this like fucking Mexican standoff, we're all just accusing each other of different communicable diseases. I was like, yeah, I have hep C. Yes, I shoot drugs. Yes, you're smoking meth. Who gives a fuck? And yes, you have herpes. And then Allison's like, does that mean I have herpes? And then Stacey's like, why would that mean that you have herpes? And Allison's like, because we had butt sex. And she's like, you've had butt sex? I was like, whoa, that was before you. And she's like, you've had sex with her. Ah. And it just turned into this whole thing. So now it's all awkward, right? Super tense between the girls at this point because Allison was probably like a 3 and Stacey was like a 14.2. And I think Allison felt threatened. She's like, put on like a helmet with Viking horns. And she's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm not even mad. But I'm like, look, we can bleach the rig out if you want. And you might not get it. I mean, it's still a maybe, but it's not a definitely. She's like, that sounds fucking good. Let's do it. Girls are weirded out now because that's how they discovered it. Just like that, because she had asked for a rig and I said I had hep C and like whatever. Bleached the rig. She gives me a fat shot. And of course, I'm like, yeah, let me go first really quick. And she's like, no. What, so you can get more hep C juice in there? And I was like, gee, if I'm going to be honest, the prejudice is just getting a little bit hardcore right now. I'm just not chill with it. So I end up having to shoot her up first. So I give her a fat one. I mean, she's the one that like made it up, but it was fat. It was like a half a gram or something. That would make me cum in my pants. And I'd play it off. I'd be like, I farted. I gotta go to the bathroom. It's gross. I don't want to really go into details, but you know what I mean. And so, hold on, I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. So as soon as I shoot her up, you gotta like realize this. Like before I got there, they were they were smoking it, right? Like nobody had like needles or anything. So I come and of course I'm the dirtbag that has a syringe on me. And Allison was already acting super weird at that point before I shot her up. But shooting meth is its own demon. And as soon as that happened, she just got really, really fucking weird, right? She's like biting on her own lip. She's like giving me these like seductive like stares, but honestly it almost looks like she wants to hurt me or something. Like she wants to hurt me sexually is how it felt. Like it looked like there was some lust there, but there was also violence associated with it, if that makes sense. It was very odd. So then I do one, right? I already smoked some, right? And now I'm twacked out, but smoking it never did much for me. Even when I was a tweaker, that wasn't my like, if I'm gonna do it, I like eating it, like putting it in coffee and drinking it, or I like injecting it, or like turkey bastering it, and just getting straight wild. So she ends up giving me a pretty big shot of this meth, right? So this other girl, Sal's ex-girlfriend, Samantha's in the other room. Me, Allison, and Stacy are in some bedroom. By the way, the bedroom's just disgusting. You know, there's like half-eaten pizzas that have like mold on it, and like on the dresser, cigarette butts everywhere. Just typical flop house for a tweaker. And she makes me up a shot, and I do it. And I hadn't shot meth at that point. It had been a while. You know, the last time that I had done it was probably like 4 or 5 months before that, which back then was a while for me. You know, now it's been years. It's been a couple years at least since I've shot meth. But I remember it was way too much. And as soon as I pushed the plunger down, I remember I hit my arm, which I never am able to do, but somehow I hit my arm, and I remember this like wave of euphoria, but also something that made me concerned because it felt a lot more intense than usual. All this static electricity kind of surged through me, and I coughed, you know, because that's when you shoot meth, if it's a good one, you get a cough. It just makes you cough. I don't know what it does. It like stimulates your sinuses, or I don't know what the hell it does. But all of a sudden, I'm just completely possessed by perversion, right? Now, truly understand that this was already kind of a tense atmosphere, especially when Allison found out, or like when the girls found out that I had fucked both of them. They were just not that cool about that. Like you could tell there's like this weird unspoken tension now. I don't know, it might have been Allison's Viking helmet. I was like, can you take that off? But as soon as I shot it, I got horny, right? And I'm like literally like thinking about like what my play is gonna be so that I could go beat off in the bathroom. Like that's all I want to do. Like masturbation became some sort of like survival fucking need, you know? It's like, if I don't beat off, I'm gonna forget how to breathe. I felt this suffocating urge to go jerk off. So I was like, oh my God, I was like, I don't know what's in there, but my stomach's a little, you know, upset. You think I can go to the bathroom? And Allison's like, just don't go jerk off. That's fucking gross. Everybody does that. Just whatever. So she like tells me where the bathroom is. It's outside of her room. It's like, I don't know, like it's like a couple doors over. There's like a kitchen right there, and then there's a bathroom. Anyway, I go into this bathroom and I lock the door. Now this is never good when I'm at somebody else's place, especially if I don't know them too well. There's like these hardcore bikers there. There's that girl, Samantha, who I like barely know, but I was kind of surprised she knew me. And I look at my phone's on like 11%. And of course, in my methed out mind, I'm like, yeah, that's enough time. Go to some porn website, find something I'm feeling. It'll come and I'll be satisfied. Of course, I should have known better. But I'm sitting in there, and I'm like sitting on the toilet. I have my pants off, and I'm doing my thing. There's a knock on the door. I look at my phone, and I don't know how much time goes by, because when you're on meth, there's like this weird time vortex that happens. So like 10 minutes, what feels like 10 minutes in actuality can be like an hour. And how I'm kind of measuring it in this instance is it was on 11% when I started. The phone's on like 2%. So I'd been in there for a minute. There's a knock on the door. I can't stop, right? So in my mind, I'm like, I'm just going to ignore it and hopefully the knocking stops, you know? And it was really creepy and perverted because I'm sitting there on this toilet beating off, and there's just like, ba, 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 come on, open the door. It's one of the dudes, right? Just ignore it. Come on, man. I gotta go to the bathroom, bro. I was like, don't say anything. I just keep beating off. And it kind of, it kind of fucked me up hearing like a male voice, I was like, oh, this is distracting me. Cause I think I was doing some sort of lesbian genre porn at the time. But anyway, eventually that stops, right? I continue doing my thing. And then my phone dies shortly thereafter. So there's that knock on the door. I don't know what's going on out there. I'm just in my own little world beating on. And I don't have headphones on or anything, so it's all loud. Like, I don't have it muted. I don't even care. I had the water running. That's right. I had the water running so that they wouldn't hear it. But I clearly remember, like, it being, like, loud, And so I run out of battery, and I'm, like, thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I don't need pornography. I'm gonna use my imagination. I'd, like, close my eyes and, like, start imagining, like, fucking glow-in-the-dark dragons that spit out motor oil and shit. I'm like, what? No! I, like, couldn't think of anything sexual. I'm all pissed off. I remember putting my pants back on and, like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna switch gears, whatever. So I wash my hands and I end up leaving the bathroom. Go in, kind of look in the living room, same scene. There's two guys sitting there. Samantha's right there. And then I go back into the bedroom. Now, this girl, Stacy, this sweet girl who had always been really cool, just became a completely different person. She was a straight up meth monster. She didn't even look the same. She looked like some buck-toothed bunny or something. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, maybe it's just the drugs, but fuck, that chick does not look the same anymore. She kind of looked like Angelina Jolie, but just thicker, I mean, she had that quality, like, the puffy lips and all that shit. But she's, like, looking at me, just very strange look on her face, and she's like, can I talk to you somewhere? And I was like, yeah, come on. And Allison just, like, looks at her and, like, nods for her to go. So we end up going out of the bedroom, and we go to the bathroom, but we don't go inside. We go to the door frame. And she's like, you didn't tell me that you slept with Allison? I was like, I didn't. We had anal. It's, like, doesn't even count. How can you have feelings attached to anal? She's like, I'm going to be honest. It's pretty fucking heartbreaking just to think that one of my best friends has fucked my boyfriend. And I'm like, I'm not your boyfriend, though. Like, we've talked about this, Stacy. And she's like, well, look, I have an idea. Why don't we have a threesome with Allison? I was like, well, I like the way you're thinking, but why do you want to do that? So we're standing in this door frame, and she starts telling me this story about, and it was like pre-herpes. If this was on like a timeline, it'd be like PH, 2002 PH, pre-herpes days. She told me this story about how, because this girl was fucking ridiculous. Like, you know, she's definitely like one of those girls that like jet setters and like big baller dudes like swoop up and take her all around the world. And she was telling me that she was a cocktail waitress at this spot in Santa Barbara, really high-end place, where just like ballers go, you know? It's like they give you like, you know, kind of place where like a waitress, like to serve one drink, it's like a $200 tip. Just ridiculous excess at this place. So she was working a cocktail waitress, and she said that this like old guy was always hitting on her. You know, and I'm like, well, I mean, how old are we talking? And she's like, old. Like, we're standing in the door frame, she's telling me the story. I'm like 60? Like, in his 80s. I'm like, ew, dude. Okay. God, I hope this story doesn't go in a weird direction. So she said that he'd be at this, like, at this lounge place, and he'd always be like, hey, sweetheart, why didn't you leave your job and come marry me and just, you know, I'll make you an honest woman. We can fucking eat prunes together. We can go fishing. We can do anything you fucking feel, but we gotta do the prunes because I'm irregular, sweetheart. And he like talked like that. You know, at least that's how she was describing it. So she got to know this guy, and he used to pay her to go out to dinner with him. I was like, oh, so you're a prostitute? And she's like, I actually liked him. I was like, yeah, Anna Nicole Smith liked her fucking Crypt Keeper too, but Jesus Christ. It was like, that's what I hate about meth, is like all of a sudden when somebody's on meth, their ugliest qualities and worst secrets and everything bad just surfaces. So she's telling me about like how it started off, and they'd like go to dinner, and then he ends up giving her a large amount of money. I don't remember what it was, but I think it was like $40,000 or $50,000. You know, if she'd give him head. And I'm like, you sucked off an 80-year-old? It all makes sense now. No wonder you're going around on a Santa Barbara blowjob massacre. I'm heterosexual, and like, if I had to suck off an 80-year-old, I'd go suck off good-looking dudes too, just to make myself feel better, you fucking whore. And she's like, oh my God, let me finish. I was like, did you do it? She's like, it was a lot of money at the time, and my parents had stopped paying my cell phone bill. I had to pay it somehow. So you sucked off an elderly man? That's disgusting. I thought you didn't judge me. I was like, no, I don't care that you have herpes, because I do. But yeah, I judge you on that. I'm sorry. It's impossible for me not to. That's fucking gross. I don't want to talk about this anymore. She's like, let me finish the story. So anyway, make a long story short, she becomes this dude's oh yeah, by the way, this guy's married. He has kids. His kids have kids. He's like a grandfather and shit. And he starts like pretending like she's like his caregiver or whatever, but like secretly she's sucking this dude off all the time. I was like, how many times are we talking? She's like, at least 30. I was like, oh my God, it's so gross. I was like, what did it smell like? Did it smell like a retirement home? Was there that manure scent? That, like, where it smells like shit and plaid? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So she tells me that she ends up going on vacation with his family. So, like, she's, like, literally, like, going to Hawaii with this dude's family. This dirty dog, too, you know, like, his family thinks he's just this innocent, sweet grandpa that can barely talk. And then he's like, come on, sweetheart. I'm going to take you fucking fishing when my family doesn't think that we're doing nothing. You know, it's like that kind of shit. So they end up going to Hawaii. And she says that he takes her to some, like, don't even know how to describe it. Like, it's like, I don't know, some, like a conference or something at like a hotel. I don't even know what it is, but it's like all these dudes meet at this hotel in Hawaii like a couple times a year. I wish I knew the name of the hotel too, because I'd totally like look into this more. But it's like this hotel that like, you know, like all these like rich dudes, all these sugar daddies bring their like, you know, the girls that they're sugar daddying to this place, and then they kind of like all put in money for them to just do like obscene stuff, like embarrassing stuff. It definitely reminded me of Requiem for a Dream, when he's like ass to ass. And so she tells me that like they go to this like conference room at some hotel in Hawaii, and it's just like all these old men. It's like this sugar daddy club or some shit, like a conference or whatever. I don't even know what to call it. And basically they all have cash money, and it's like bringing somebody to a dog fight or something, but it's like the girls of the sugar daddies like, all right, I want you to eat horse shit right now, and I'll give you fucking $30,000, you know, shit. I swear, this is what she's telling me, like, and I'm just sitting there twacked out, horny as fuck, and it's just killing it. I'm like, geez, like, way to make me not horny. And she's like, do you know what he made me do? And I was like, and by the way, Stacey, you know, we joke about this shit all the time, but yeah, this really happened, and this is my friend. So I don't want to be like too, I don't know, she's got a good sense of humor, but basically she told me that he made her or asked her to hook up with a girl in front of him and like all of his like elderly friends. A couple of them like dropped dead of like heart attacks. Like nurses ran in and just like scooped the body up like it was a Vietnam movie. And so she had to hook up with this other girl in front of all these guys. And she got paid a bunch of money. I don't remember what it was, but it was like a lot, you know, over like, you know, 20, 30, 40 grand or whatever the case was. So she's like in this room in front of all these old men going down on a girl, vice versa. And she's like, honestly, I only think about it when I masturbate. I'm fucking confused. And Allison understands because she's my sponsor. And remember I told you, this girl, Allison, I hate this girl. To this day, I fucking hate Allison. I guess she was going around basically stealing or like asking her sponsees to lend her money, which is like a huge moral no-no in the program. But she was also bisexual and she was also predatory on women. Now, if you remember, when I had first started talking to Allison, I met her on Facebook, and she had told me that, like, when we started talking, she's like, yeah, you know, I did a lot of bad stuff before I got clean. And I'm like yawning. I'm like, oh, bad stuff. I just did like 5 years in prison. I was like, oh, what'd you do? Like write yourself checks from your parents' checkbook or something? Worse. I was like, worse than that? Did you prostitute yourself out? It happens. It's okay. I don't judge anybody for shit like that. That's cool. I did that too, but no, worse. I was like, worse than that? Me and my ex-boyfriend, he was a meth dealer, and I held a girl down while he raped her. That's pretty bad, right? And I was just repulsed by that shit. You know, I was like, ugh. Like, it's one thing that I just like, I don't give a fuck if it was like a brother to me, family member, somebody raped someone. is the most deplorable, just disgusting fucking act a human being can do. And she had told me that. So I already knew this girl, she made up all this shit about me. She's fucking raping women with her boyfriend, and or at least assisting. She's like an accessory to rape. And she kind of like turns out these other girls, right? And so she's like, the one time in Hawaii that I hooked up with a girl, I gotta be honest with you, I think about it every time I masturbate. Is that weird? Am I gay? I'm like, so now you're high on meth and you want to have a threesome with Allison. Only because you fucked her and I think I'm in love with you, and if we have a threesome, then I'll always think of it as just she's had a threesome, not some chick that you fucked up the butt when you were sober once. I did not want to. I just want to let the record reflect. I was not feeling it because I liked Stacy at that time. I liked you, Stacy. But the thing is after Allison had made up that shit about me, I didn't like her. Like, I like really hated her at that point. And I'm like one of those people where like I can't hook up with people that I hate. If that makes sense. Like, it's weird with me. Like, if I'm fighting really bad with a girlfriend, like, I'm over it. Like, I'm good. You know, I don't want to do anything with them. And I was just really turned off by this girl. I don't know. She just, and furthermore, Stacy, who's usually looking A+, looked horrible. You know, it's like one hit of meth had aged her by 15 years. She didn't even have the same, like, nationality anymore. She was, like, Greek. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? She's like, I had dual citizenship. Okay. I was like, okay. But I didn't really want to do it. It was like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, sometimes when I get twacked out, I'd rather beat off than have sex. I don't know. I don't know why. It's like I get bored with just sex. But I considered it, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll do it. It's gonna save our relationship, Stace. I'll do it. So, cool. I'm gonna ask her. I'm like, okay, cool. I stay in the door frame. I'm literally, if my phone worked, I probably would have went in the bathroom and just ditched them and beat off. But I just stood in the doorway. She's probably in there for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I don't know, a while. Like to the point where I got like over standing there. And I open the door and they're sitting on this bed and they're making out. And she looks up, she's like, oh my God. She kissed me. It was fun. It's weird. Get off of me. Gross, Allison. Just kidding. Yeah, we were kissing. Sorry. We were just trying to kind of rev the engines up before you came in. And Allison, like, tries to look at me seductively, but she's like, I'm like, Jesus. Just was not into it. I don't know if I could express that enough. So, I'm sitting in there, and it's awkward because I already know, or I'm standing there, they're both sitting on the bed, and it's awkward because I already know what the plan is. I know what Stacy wants to do. I already know that Allison's like some predatory ass chick. And Allison's like looking at me all weird. Stacy's like, well, just so you know, we're down. Take your pants off. I was like, fuck. I mean, they'd both already seen it, whatever. So I started getting undressed. I remember I took off I was wearing like mesh, like basketball shorts. I took those off. Probably a wife beater. I don't even remember. But I know I got like down to my boxers, and like right at that point, I kind of like was like, whoa. I don't know. I don't know, I got kind of spooked. Like, I didn't want to do it or something. And Allison's like, because she just looks ridiculous. She looks like she's like wasted or something. You know, like the drunk, like slut face for like, she looked like that. She's like, you know, it'd be cool. We should get Sam in here. She wanted Samantha, the other girl, Sal's ex, to come in. So it'd be like 3 girls and me. And I like, honestly, this is the weirdest thing. Just that little adjustment to the plan kind of made me like more into it. You know, I was like, oh, that sounds fun. I'll be the only guy. So Allison's like, yeah. She's like, Samantha thinks you're hot too, right? I'm like, she would totally be into it. And she looks at Stacy. She's like, go get Samantha. And Stacy was like kind of like a chirpy bimbo type, you know, like felt bad for her. She's like the kind of girl that you could just tell kind of got like taken advantage of most of her life, probably all of her life. And she just kind of like, after she told me that she was basically like sucking off an 80-year-old, and then she like went to some super slut sugar daddy convention, I was like, God, that's like a level of professionalism that I'm not even used to. That's like goes above and beyond. But something about it just killed it for me. Like, I was over it. I don't know. I just wasn't into it. And then Allison, I was definitely not into. So, but Samantha wasn't like better looking than Stacy, but she was good looking, and I'd never done anything with her. I think that's what the incentive was or whatever. So once Stacy leaves, she's all chirpy, like, you know, Allison's like, go get Samantha. She's like, okay, and she just goes. She kind of had the same you know, like temperament, kind of like reminded me of Heather Graham's character Roller Girl in Boogie Nights. She was just like down for whatever and like nice, you know? So as soon as she leaves, Allison's like, take your boxers off. She's like, I miss it. And I just instantly was like, God damn it, dude. I see what was going on. She was strategically trying to get it so that me and her would be alone or whatever. And I was just like, out of her and Stacy, she was like definitely like somebody that I didn't want to touch at all. I was only like kind of doing this to appease Stacy or whatever reason it was. But I do it because I'm a fucking pig. And I take my boxers off. And I remember, like, for some reason, it was probably the meth, but I got this big old, like, straight up banana boner. My dick, like, changed shape, like, metamorphosed into, like, some banana. I was like, what the fuck? And she was like, come here. She's sitting on the bed. I walk up, and let's be mature about this, guys. She gives me a BJ. I don't think I've ever called it that, but it sounded funny. She's giving me a BJ, closing my eyes, definitely like, God, just don't look at her face. Like, she's just, you know. And there's like a little like tap on the door, you know, not a knock, right? When Stacy had left, she'd closed the door, but like, you know, it like that, this door, it's like one of those doors that wouldn't close all the way. Like when I had first gone up to that room, there was like a little crack in it that you could see through. It was like similar. It like the door wouldn't shut all the way. So it was like slightly open. Like someone could look through it if they wanted to. But there was like a little tap on the door. And like, I was so twacked out. I think my first thought on that was that, like, you know, Stacy was trying to do like some kinky shit, or like she wanted it to be like a specific situation. Like it was like some sort of weird like orgy erotica. You know, there was a brief tap on the door. Ryan, acne-ridden, shirtless, tan, dick smelling like a donkey turd, opens the door. The orgy begins, you know, whatever it was. And Allison has my dick in her hand. And she's like, come in. Door swings open. It's one of the biker dudes, right? Girl's nowhere to be found. Now, he had tapped on the door. It wasn't a knock, it was a tap. And he's like looking at me like a fucking psychopath. Like I'm just standing there, like my little butt's like poking out. Like that's all he can see is like me standing there naked and her on the bed. And I like look at him. I was like, hey, what's up, man? And he looks like he's steaming like a fucking bull that's about to pounce. I was like, you all right? You lost or something? And Allison looks up at me and she's like, dude, that's my boyfriend. And he looks fucking mad. I don't know why you talked me into this. I was like, huh? I didn't talk you into this. And I just look and the dude starts approaching. We will get into what happens on this horrible ass weekend down in Orange County in the next installment of Origins. I'm going to go on my trip now. I'm going to try to record a video with Brian. I'm also going to get my GoPro shit right now, and I'm going to try to get as much upper tier stuff done as possible in the next couple days, and then circle back to the story. This story actually gets pretty fucking crazy when it gets up to the modern times, but this stuff is important for that story to work. Palabra.